Hello everyone, this is Stefan from Lush and Salty Aquariums. Not including my jar aquariums, this is by far my smallest tank, a true nano tank if ever there was one. It is the ADA Cube. It's less than 5 gallons. I forget the exact total, maybe something like 3.7. I've had it for a couple years. It definitely needs a trim, but I can't bring myself to do it, and now I'm showing you why. It is just such a perfect mess right now, and none of the creatures are suffering to my knowledge. One would think they lack for swimming space, the fish, but I'm not feeling it. I'm seeing happy creatures behaving in happy ways. What can I tell you? We have ruby tetras, and we have a couple, maybe I think 3 Endler males and a small group of ruby tetras. Both these fish feature red as their primary color, obviously ruby tetras. And then you see in this one male, and there's 2 others in here, the red-orange coloring. And then of course cherry shrimp abound in this tank. There's a really fine example of one right there, deep red in color. There's another one there. Look at how red that is and how it pops against the green of the plant. I love that. All the plants could use a trimming, I get that. But they're doing so well, I'm just reluctant to do that. Let's start with the group of Anubias petite, the small green-leaved cluster that's anchored on a piece of driftwood we can barely see at this point. Take a note of how little, if any, algae are on those leaves, is on those leaves. That's a real good sign. That means despite all the activity, all the life, the bioload as it is called, there is no negative effect in terms of algae growth on the leaves of that plant, and really all the plants, but that one in particular is a good barometer for how the tank is doing, because algae will form on Anubias petite. It's a slow grower. It's under direct light. That's usually a formula for algae upon its leaves over time. I do not have that in here. Obviously the shrimp play a role, but they are not the entire reason there's no algae on that plant. It's the overall conditions of the tank, which means there aren't surplus nutrients, unbelievably, that create an algae problem. Here we have a crypt that I really should trim by just basically cutting out. It's more of a thinning than a trimming, just cutting, I don't know, 30% of the leaves out from the basic bunch to just give it air and give the tank more real estate. We have another kind of crypt directly behind it. The two have merged in a sense to form kind of a uber cluster. On the top I have some frog bit, a smaller variety, but look at how clean and lovely those leaves are. No brown or decaying ones, which usually happens with this plant. I have a bit of Japanese clover, which can grow into the earth or just float suspended. I let it do what it wants in this tank. I have what's left of Monte Carlo. It's kind of uprooted, and now it's essentially just sort of a form. It's going to go away. I get that, and that started happening when I took out the CO2 a long time ago. But even in its chaotic and messy state, I just don't mind it, as it tends to contribute to the overall texture and color and effect in this aquarium. I have some bacopa, I believe. This is a common aquarium plant. It's growing out from in the neighboring jar tank and crossing over on top of the driftwood, which has Java and Christmas moss on it. It's rooting into that, and it's sending roots from the stem down into the water itself, and then growing up and over. All that could be cut back. And there's a fun piece of Christmas moss attached to what's emerged from the driftwood, which was at one time a very lovely piece. It still is, of that orange colored spider wood. And that was gorgeous when I didn't have much plants. Now you can't see it, but it's a price I'm very willing to pay, because look at all the great plant growth. In the filter, which is a little Azuzu hang on the back, right now I just have the biomedia, and the water runs over that. It does serve some catching of detritus and what have you, but mostly it just facilitates water quality by regenerating nutrient bacteria into the water column. And of course the filter keeps, if nothing else, some flow and circulation into the tank. Inside this tank there are also various snails and invertebrates besides the cherry shrimp. You see the usual sort of requisite ram's horn snails. I believe there's a couple nereids in here too, and maybe a couple Otocinclus and pygmy Hasbrosa catfish. All of them are happy, and just because I don't see them hardly means they're not doing well. They're just occupying the ever-growing portion of the tank that I just can't see. But the overall effect is this tremendous cube of greenery and explosive growth, and yet a serene, almost like kabuki Asian vibe to it, whatever you want to call it. It's a gorgeous little setup, and I hope you agree. Okay, everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the channel. Always keep your hands in the tank. Ciao for now.